One of the reasons that software ERP implementation projects will typically fail is because a software vendor or integrator failed to meet its contractual obligations. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. For the last 20 years, I've drafted and negotiated a variety of technology-related contracts and litigated failed ERP projects and digital transformations in courts across the country. One of the causes of action that we will typically bring in the software cases that we litigate is a breach of contract action against either the software vendor or the software integrator. And the software integrator or software vendor will typically breach the software contract or services agreement in a variety of ways. And one of those ways is to fail to provide the services, whether they're software-related services, integration services, or implementation services, in accordance with that contractual obligation that they have. And that contractual obligation can be to provide services in accordance with generally accepted industry standards. It can be to provide services in accordance with mutually agreed upon specifications and a statement of work, whatever it is. One of the other ways that vendors will typically breach a contract is by failing to provide software in accordance with the contractual representations or obligations. And again, this is software that was provided that failed to substantially comply or conform with agreed upon documentation or documentation provided by the vendor, or software or deliverables that failed to comply with specifications that were agreed upon in a project document, a requirements document, or a statement of work. One of the other things that we will typically see from a breach perspective is really a failure of the software vendor to provide any good faith based estimates of how long the implementation is going to take or the cost of the implementation. A lot of times they will promise or contractually represent that the implementation can be accelerated, it can be done in 2 months or 3 months, or that it's going to cost a minimal amount of money. And when in reality they knew that was not true, and that representation or contractual statement was not made in good faith. One of the other causes of action related to breach that we will bring, or reasons for a breach, really has to do with the software vendor or integrator providing inexperienced or incompetent staff, consultants to work on the project because the vendor is using the customer's project as a training ground to train those consultants, or alternatively, they're assigning incompetent or inexperienced consultants because they've got larger, more lucrative projects that they're assigning their A-team to. We also will see breach of contract actions arising from missing deadlines, missing deliverables, missing functionality, providing non-conforming deliverables. So all of these are kind of the meat and potatoes of the ways that we will typically see how vendors will breach their contractual obligations. There's also another allegation that we would assert, which kind of rolls up into a breach of contract, and that's something called a breach of the duty of good faith and fair dealing. This is an obligation that it goes along every contract, and it's kind of a catch-all type of cause of action. So it doesn't key into any one thing, but really what it's keying into is the software vendors or integrators' inability to allow you to secure all the benefits of the contract that you had bargained for. So if you have any questions about any of the legal issues that we've talked about in this video, if you're having issues with your software vendor or software integrator, you're considering suing them for a breach of contract, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about what your options are and get you pointed in the right direction.